You made your clients how much off of one video?
$30,000.
And how many views did that video get?
Like 1.8 million.
What does this business do?
They are an AI photo company.
Why do most businesses struggle to grow their personal brand and to get results like this?
They're worried about selling and selling immediately.
How do you make a viral video?
You gotta start with the hook. If somebody's not gonna watch past the first 3 seconds, it's impossible to go viral. When you see an organic video, it's not immediately dropping the brand name. They get you in on a story, and then you realize, okay, this is the product that I need. My ManyChat offer up until this point, it's already done over $50,000 for me organically. That's 100% just YouTube videos sending me leads every single day.
I'm curious, why did you leave Salesforce? Listen, if you've been posting on social and barely getting views, your DMs are dry, this one's for you. Because today's guest, he's the guy that brands and creators call when they need results. Clark Gary. He went from 0 to 20,000 on TikTok in just 7 days, and he's helped a client hit their biggest sales day ever off one organic video. He blew a Better Legal's TikTok from 0 to 65,000. So the guy that we're gonna be listening to, this isn't theory. Quit Salesforce. He walked away from a 9 to 5 and built a one-person business model that actually works. And now he teaches creators how to turn their rented audience into an owned audience and how to turn views into dollars. So in this episode, we got my man Clark here, and he's gonna break down the system, why the volume kills luck, how to launch offers the right way, how to price your brand deals, how to make money, but more importantly, how to up your views when they're low. So you want to grab a pen and a piece of paper, you want to pay attention, and you want to get ready, because this is the stuff that nobody tells you. Welcome to the Social Selling Podcast, the man, the myth, the legend, Clark Gary.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you having me on, man. Appreciate it. I'm excited for this. I'm really excited for this.
Pretty cool, right? To see it kind of all come to works in the studio. We've been working hard behind the scenes to kind of get things going. But before we jump in, I always like to say things don't just happen by chance. And it's just, like I was telling you earlier, January of 2024, I'm trying to figure out how to grow my personal brand. And I type in some things on Instagram, and lo and behold, you pop up. And I'm living in Nashville at this time. Mm-hmm. And a couple months ago, me and my wife were coming out of Nollis, a local restaurant in Indianapolis, and lo and behold, who walks right in front of me? And I never forget a face. And I saw you and I was like, hey man, are you an influencer? And you kind of like, yeah, a little bit. Like, somebody asked you that. Yeah. And so I'm like, well, I know you're having date night probably also. So let's connect, let's swap information, and then let's see if we can make it happen. And we're finally here.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, when you were like, hey, do you make AI videos? I was like, I turned around because I've had a couple people ask me, before, and I'm like, yeah, I do. And they're like, oh, I make videos too. And then so it was cool to meet someone who actually also does it. We were talking about that earlier. Like, you don't meet a lot of local people. Yeah. You meet people, at events and things, but I'm excited for this.
For sure. You made your clients how much off of one video?
$30,000.
And how many views did that video get?
Like 1.8 million.
That's absolutely crazy. What does this business do?
They are an AI photo company. So you upload photos yourself, and then they will generate like headshots for LinkedIn or like professional looking photos of you.
Yeah. So why do most businesses struggle to grow their personal brand and to get results like this?
They're worried about selling and selling immediately. I mean, every time, I will say, when I get a pitch, especially from larger companies, they're like, hey, you got to mention the brand name in the first 5 seconds of the video. And I don't know if I know obviously you scroll TikTok and Instagram, but like when you see an organic video, it's not immediately dropping the brand name. They get you in on a story, and then you realize, okay, this is the product that I need. So that's just a little bit of it for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy. So take me back. How did you even get into content creation? Were you, would you always want to be an entrepreneur? Let's go back across the bridge. Yeah. When did you, tell me about the beginning?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like I remember telling my parents when I was in college, like, if I haven't quit my job before 30, like, I'll consider that a failure. Because I know I have it in me, but like I didn't know how I was going to do it at the time. I was reselling sneakers, doing like drop shipping, everything you've seen on the internet, I've tried it, right? Like I'm the key target market for Ty Lopez. I was getting his ads like crazy back in the day, right? So
The
But
67 steps.
Yes, exactly. The garage with the books in it and everything.
Here in my garage.
Yeah, exactly.
Knowledge.
Yep,
Yes.
exactly. So did a bunch of side hustles, and in 2020, I actually started doing the content stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a dude, his name was Vic Madu. I think he does mostly sports stuff now,
Mm-hmm.
but he was doing Turo, which is basically Airbnb for cars.
Okay.
So I bought a Tesla to rent it out on Turo in Chicagoland, where I was living at the time, and started making content around that. Kind of blew up a little bit, like, got my first 10, 20,000 followers, but like I hadn't made any money from the actual content at that point. And so like but that gave me a valuable experience because in the first, 100 days, I posted close to 300 videos. I was posting 3 times a day for the first 100 days.
Whoa.
And I learned more, in that 100 days than most people learn in a year or two of content. Because if you think about it, even if you're posting every other day, that's only 150 videos a year. I posted 300 videos in 100 days.
Right.
So like you mentioned at the beginning, volume negates luck, and like I believe that so truly because it's what I've lived. So
yeah, and as I was doing my research, that's what I realized was like, oh, this is something that I really want to talk about. When people get started, right? One is they want it to be perfect when they first get started. Mm-hmm. They need to have the right setup. They have all these excuses about the right timing, and then they don't put in enough volume.
Yep.
Right. To one, learn what works and what doesn't work, but to get the answers faster, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you're only doing, like you said, one video every other day, that's not enough. No. Especially in the beginning.
No. And I refer to it as at-bats, right? Like if people are familiar with baseball at all, right? Like you want to get as many at-bats as possible, and that's just, videos you're putting out. And I think something people don't realize is they treat content like this, like crazy mystical thing, right? Like if it was any other regular job in the world, you wouldn't spend, you wouldn't try it for a month or 2 months and be pissed that you haven't gone from, intern to CEO, which is what people think is going to happen with content. They're going to go from zero to $100,000 in a month, 2 months, 3 months. That takes years for most jobs, and people expect because they've seen their friends or their family or acquaintances go viral, they expect it's going to happen overnight, and that's just not the reality 99% of the time.
Right. And so, what were some of the biggest lessons you learned? Because when we get into something, we have this uninformed optimism, right? Mm-hmm. So what are some of the things you learned about content in those 100 days?
Yep.
Right, in those 100 days about content.
Number one, and this is the biggest thing, it's like posting when it's not perfect, especially early. Like you said, like I would post videos, I would spend, 30 minutes, 45 minutes on a video, and I'd be like, oh, this is the one that's going to pop off. And it would flop. But then I'd be like, oh, I don't want to post today, but I'm going to put this video together in a minute. It's just going to kind of be me talking off the cuff. And that one would be the one that goes viral. Like you truly never know which one is going to be the one to kind of blast you into outer space, right? You can do everything possible to make that the best chance of happening, but you never know which one the algorithm is going to take, especially early on before you've really established your audience and your niche and everything.
Okay, so let's dive into that. First of all, what's the most views you got on one video?
One video, I want to say like 33 million views on Instagram.
What?
Yeah, 33 million views. Yep.
Okay, so that's one. What's another one that you've done?
I would guess if I had to put a number on it. I mean, I've done easily over 150 videos, over 1 million views between me and videos I've done for clients, right? But I would say the second biggest, probably right around like the 15 million, and then I would say there's a handful in like near the 10 million range.
So how long did it take how many videos do you think you made before you got your first viral video?
My first truly viral video, and this is kind of a funny story. I'll make the short version of it. But so, like, my first video where it was like 500,000 views, that was probably right around video, I would say for me, it was probably 90, video, which again, for most people, that takes them 3 to 6 months to get that many videos out. But the funny thing is, and a lot of people learn this, and this is what I tell all my students, when I was doing a lot of coaching was, just because you go viral doesn't mean you're going to make money.
Right.
I had that viral video. I was not prepared. I didn't have anything to sell. I didn't have any freebies. I had nothing because I was so early in the content game. I didn't know what I was going to do. So then I put something out after the fact, and I priced it way low. I remember setting the price as like $5 because I was like, well, it's $5. People buy it. I mean, maybe 2 sales, right? And so like, it's a hard lesson of like, okay, virality didn't make me money necessarily. And also like, I didn't have anything, like I wasn't ready to capture this moment, right? And then I just kind of released a product on a whim. That was a big learning lesson for me. Like, okay, like there's got to be strategy behind this. Just posting the videos isn't enough, you know?
Right. So the overall strategy of going viral needs to have a purpose.
Yes,
right.
absolutely.
So as you going through these 100 days or the videos that you made, you realize that viral for the sake of virality means nothing.
No,
right?
Nothing.
So you need to have some type of offer, or you need to have something for them to do next, right? Okay, so you're figuring that thing out. So what other things did you learn along the way in this time? Because I'm assuming you're trying to get this to work, and you're thinking that going viral is the goal in the beginning, right?
Yes.
Then you realize, oh crap, I need to have an offer or something to monetize this.
Yep.
And then you monetize it, but nobody buys it. Yep. So then what's the next aha that you have from that step?
Yeah. So for me, it was learning. Again, then this is what I learned the hard way from not getting sales and whatnot, is like getting a product that's specified, like very specific, right? Like when you could launch a product as a content creator and you could probably do decently just launching something general, like, hey, this is how you create content. It could be for anyone. But if you go and you make, a course or a program that's specifically for, busy content creators that are realtors and want to save, 2 to 3 hours a week, well, now there's a very specific niche audience. And because of that, they're going to feel like that course is specifically for them versus they might have looked at your general content course and been like, okay, maybe this will help me. I don't know if it will. I don't know if it won't. Like, yes, there's less people it will, apply to, but you're more likely to convert that smaller audience than you are to convert, a piece of that really big audience. So I think really specific products was something that I learned. Is like, that's how you're really going to make more money with it, when you can, like, people can envision themselves like, hey, this is exactly for me. It's almost like Clark made this for me.
Yeah. And that's so funny because I learned from Sam Ovens, and he used to talk about this one old school copywriter. His name slips in my mind, but he said that they used to make niche products, which I thought was very interesting. And then again, the riches are in the niches.
Yep.
So you have to niche down to scale up. So you realize that you had a product that was for everybody. And online, if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. Because people want to feel like, they're thinking, is this product right for me? Is it going to work for me? And if you're not talking to their pain problems, you're not really offering a solution, right? And so you learned the next thing is that you got to niche down, huh?
Yeah.
Got to pick a niche.
Yeah. And something that goes with that, and this is a Hormozy line. I can't take credit for this one, but he refers to people like as levels. So, let's consider me and you out of 1 to 10, let's call us level 8 content creators, just for sake of argument, right? Well, in that example I just gave you, if you create a product for a bunch of level 1s, their pain is not really that strong because they're level 1. They haven't learned that much. They're not really that invested in what they're doing. And frankly, like, part of the worst part is, like, they probably don't have a lot of money. They haven't made a lot of money doing what they're doing at that point, right? Think about a brand new content creator. What are the odds they're going to go spend $197 even if they've made $0,
right,
and it's a general course that they don't know is going to work? Well, if you speak to even a level 3, 4, 5 realtor who knows, they've had that feeling of making $10,000 from one house sale. They've had that feeling of, okay, I've gotten some traction from social media, but not a ton. Now, if you can go show them the pain of, okay, I can actually convert you so you're making 1 sale a month from social media now. Now they're doing the math in their head. Okay, I got that $10,000 from that house. Now, of course I'm going to pay $1,000 for this program because it'll make me $10,000 extra, and even if it's just one house a year. So I think that's big as well. Like, knowing who you're talking to and then talking to the right people, because just because you're talking to realtors, you might be talking to the wrong subset. You might be talking to a bunch of level 1s and 2s that aren't ready for what you're selling when you need to be talking level 3, 4, 5, 6. You know what I'm saying?
So how do you kind of figure that part out, like who you need to go after? So you typically, that's the first thing that people get hung up on because they think that they're new as an entrepreneur and they go broad because they want to try to help everybody. And they think that they're losing out on opportunities niching down. So now the question becomes, well, who are my people? How do I decide on who to serve?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's a couple ways. One, and this is the easiest answer, this is something everybody could do, is just like the research, right? Especially with ChatGPT and the AI now, like, you could spend 30 minutes in there, asking about problems of realtors. You could be putting in specific realtors in your area, and get a ton of insight that you would never really just think of in your head, right? Like asking it, hey, I'm in the Indianapolis area. What's a problem that realtors typically deal with, in the fall or the spring, right? And kind of getting that and then realizing, okay, they, maybe it's winter. They don't want to go out and do these things, right? Whatever that product might be. But then also something that some people shy away from this, but I've found that this is really successful, is doing a little bit of free work. And this is what I mean by that. Maybe you have a product that's a huge scale of things. You're going to do socials, you're going to do ads, you're going to do mini chat automations. Well, let's pick one of those 4, right? And go do one of those 4 for one client to not only get the testimonial, but you learn, especially if you've never done it, right? You'll learn what their problems are and what hiccups are in there by doing it that first time. And you'll learn infinitely more. And I always like to tell people, like, yes, you could have maybe made $500 charging that person for that. But the testimonial is probably going to make you thousands back, because
$10,000.
As soon as you have proof that you can do this for somebody, that's going to make you more money. But also B, the learning experience yourself and how much more deeply you're going to understand that problem is going to be worth way more than that $500.
Right. There's more on the line, because when you when you commit to somebody, right, you got this pressure on you that's inherent that you got to lock in. You're more heightened about getting them the results to perform, because you don't want to look like an idiot, right? And a lot of times we're ambitious entrepreneurs, so we're making a little bit of a preemptive offer on what we can kind of do. And so now you've got to kind of learn on the fly. But that's the best way to kind of get you out of your comfort zone, is because you need to produce a result. So now timing and then any excuses you have has to go out the window. You have to figure it out. There's no other option. And again, the results that you get for that person either let you know, are you going to love or hate working with them? Because sometimes when you pay people, you know how it is. When you know exactly where I'm going with that. People pay you, and then you're like, man, I should have never taken that person on as a client, and they make your life a nightmare. But also, then they can kind of distort that. It's every real estate agent like this. It's every CPA, and it's not. It's just that one person. But also the learning that happens from there is the skills that you can use for forever. And of course, above all, a testimonial is priceless. Until I got my first testimonial, man, my business did not grow. But once I had that one, I used it over and over and over again, and it made me tens of thousands of bucks. So that's so picking a niche, and then maybe doing some free work to have a case study, basically, right? So let's say having a case study. So now you got a case study, and now you got to figure out a method or a process, right? I'm assuming that's kind of where you're going. So I guess I should ask you. You're the expert. So after you got a case study, now what do you do to try to scale your business?
For me, I mean, I try and fit that case study into the content, whether that's, like that's the sole purpose of the video is breaking down the case study, or something, I know a lot of people don't like to talk about their success, like especially in like in a salesy way in content, because it doesn't seem organic. But it could be as simple as you're making a video. For example, an offer I'm doing right now is with mini chat setups, right? And I'll be making a video about, these are the mini chat, automations everybody should have set up. I'll be going through it. I'll be telling them number 1, number 2. So I've got the value. And then I'll go, number 3 is an automation we actually set up for my client, Amanda, and we got her over 1,500 emails in the first 3 days, right? And that doesn't even seem like a sale, but now you have that much more authority, because they're like, oh, he did this for someone. He's showing Amanda, right? Like he's showing that person's profile. He's showing the screenshots, everything, right? And now it's like not even a salesy video. They've already learned so much up to that point. But then you drop in that testimonial, and not only is it still giving them more value, but somebody's like, okay, I'm also a fitness coach watching this. I know he just helped a fitness coach. They're that much more likely to now reach out because of that, right? So fitting that in the content as many ways as possible. That could be stories. It could be carousels around it. It could be reels. I think that people just don't put it out there enough, and that's like a big, and myself included, right? Like I think every entrepreneur probably doesn't promote the successes they've had enough, because it's just especially once you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 50 testimonials,
right?
It's kind of like, okay, it's just another testimonial,
right?
But if you think about it and you go back to if that was your first testimonial, it would have been groundbreaking for you. You would have told everybody, right? So I think that that's something, whether it's beginners or more advanced people need to be doing more of, frankly.
100%. So you mentioned ManyChat. What is ManyChat?
Yeah. So if you've ever commented on somebody's Instagram post, and they say, hey, comment the word guide and I'll send you my free guide on how to go viral. And then instantly you get a message to your DMs and it's a link and then you'll go get it. That's what ManyChat is. So it will automate, it can reply to comments for you. It can automatically send DMs. It can send story replies. And, I say this to everybody. I use ManyChat every day. Obviously I have an offer with ManyChat, but it's the most powerful social media tool I've ever seen. I was looking the other day because I was making a video about it. It's automated over 280,000 comment replies and DMs for me, which, if I were to sit here, it would take me months to manually send 280,000 DMs, right? And this does it all automatically without me having to doing anything. And all I got to do is just set it up once. So anybody watching this who doesn't use ManyChat right now on Instagram, I would bargain to say that it would double your conversion rate in the DMs if you're using ManyChat.
And so how though? How does it double? How does ManyChat help you grow your business specifically? So
imagine, you making a video and without ManyChat normally you would have to tell somebody, hey, I've got my guide, go click the link in my bio, which A, is already probably going to hurt your reach because social media sites don't like you saying the words, link in bio because they don't want people to go off platform. B, you now have to have trust that these people are going to go click the link in your bio. Then you probably have multiple links in there. They're going to click the right thing inside of your bio once you're in there, right? And then they're actually going to follow through and do all those things. Or you're going to have to go manually send all that stuff off, right? Versus ManyChat, it's going to do that automatically for you. So they comment the word guide. It immediately sends the link to them. So all they do is click a button. They've got the guide right there. It can collect emails for you without you doing anything. It can collect phone numbers, any custom information you want. It can do automated follow-ups after a certain, after they click the button, you can set it up to delay an hour and then be like, hey, what'd you think of the guide, right? And then you follow up with them. You can send automated voice notes with it. So, just the follow-up and the touch points you can have, you can just do 10 times more than you could ever try and do manually.
Right. Cool. I'm going to come back to that because that's really, really good. But also you can have it set to all respond to your stories or comments or send DMs, which is super awesome.
Yeah.
And it works for your ads too if you boost and run profile visit ads or just lead gen ads too. Yep. Anything that people comment on your Instagram.
Yeah.
But this is an AI tool that's specific for IG, right?
Yep, IG and Facebook. Yep, they've been working on some TikTok stuff. I've actually worked with the ManyChat team myself was sponsored and just some tutorials with them. So they're working on some TikTok stuff, but that'll probably be in the coming year. I think once legislation and stuff gets figured out with TikTok, that'll be more likely. But so yeah, it's Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, dope.
Yeah.
So how do you make a viral video? What are the components that go into making viral content?
Yeah. So I would say, you got to start with the hook. And I know everybody says that, right? But it is the truth. If somebody's not going to watch past the first 3 seconds, it's impossible to go viral because you got to have people. A lot of it has to do with retention rate. And for people that might not know exactly what that means, that basically means what percentage of your video is somebody watching. If you have a 30-second video and they watch, if they watch 15 seconds of it, that's 50% retention rate. You want to get as much of that as possible. And the hook is how you start with that. You got to really intrigue somebody. You got to make sure that they're interested in it. And that's not only what you're saying, that's what's on the screen. So 3 things that every video should have in the hook. One, you should have a verbal hook. So that could be something along the lines of, these three bicep movements are the reason your biceps aren't growing, right? So now if somebody's watching that, and it's something I always tell people too, negative hooks, like what I just said, is this is the reason something's not happening. Intrigue people a lot more than positive hooks. It's just how our society works a lot of times, right?
But what does it say? They say that negative news travels 10 times faster than positive news?
Yep, exactly. So and the part of that also is somebody feels like they're missing out. Somebody feels like, wait, maybe I've been doing these bicep moves wrong, or maybe I've been doing these and they're not even helping me and I could replace it with whatever Clark's going to tell me in this video, right? So you say that, you put a image on the screen, it doesn't have to cover the whole screen, it can be real small, of maybe maybe a blurred image of one of the movements you're going to be doing, right? And then you also have, some sort of text on the screen, maybe it's just as simple as, do these instead. So you know they're going to. So right there, I mean, that's farther than most people go, because most people's videos would just be like, do these 3 bicep movements if you want to get bigger biceps. I mean, you've seen that everybody and their mother who's in the fitness industry has made that video, right? And that's not going to stand out. You immediately, just by doing those 3 things that I talked about with the negative hook, the graphic on the screen, and the text on the screen.
So that's the visual hook.
Yep, exactly.
Okay,
yep.
gotcha.
So that's just already your video's that much more appetizing for somebody.
So
right?
I'm just trying to, because I love how excited you are about this, because that's how excited I am when I talk about stuff, so I can see the passion.
Yeah.
So first you need a verbal hook,
Yep.
then the visual hook,
Yep.
right? Something on the screen,
Yep.
and negative hook works better than a positive hook most times.
Yep.
Okay, so got the hook, first 5 seconds, hook
Yep.
the viewer, show them something visual, incite some doubt with
Yep.
the negative hook.
Yep.
That gets them locked in.
Yep.
Now what's the next piece of a viral video?
You don't want to give the answer right away. Like you don't.
I do that all the time.
I do it a lot too. But that's one thing that, again, this will help so much, because if you give the answer right away, people swipe up the moment they know the answer. If you say these 3 bicep movements are killing your gains, it's the hammer curl, the preacher curl, and the whatever. They swipe up. They go, okay, I know I don't need to do those anymore. They don't care if it's true or not. So you need to go, and then instead of saying that, you say, okay, right now you might be doing, the hammer curl this way, and you might be doing these preacher curls, and then you use the word but, because that's kind of like you're giving them this, and then you say but to bring them back down, and it's kind of a roller coaster.
Yes.
Some people call it like the hero's journey. Instead of saying like and, you'll say but then, so or something along those lines, right? So you could say but you need to actually be doing these 2 exercises, and then you start to, instead of saying it, you can say, now this exercise, it really strengthens the whatever. I'm not a bodybuilder, but it really strengthens the bicep. You still don't say the name until the very end of that first one. So now they're probably at minimum, going back to retention rate, 40 to 50% into the video before they've even gotten the name of the first workout. And now you say that, and then you do the same exact one for the final one, and then some sort of CTA at the end, right? What I would suggest.
And CTA is what?
Call to action.
Okay,
yep, call to action. So what I would suggest to people, and that's something I've started to do a lot more, and it's made me a lot more money from my content in the past, right? And we talked about this a little bit before, is link in your short form to some sort of long form.
Right.
So in a perfect world, you would have this short form video that's 20, 30 seconds long, and then at the end, your CTA, connected to ManyChat, would say, hey, comment the word bicep, and I'll send you the full breakdown of my 5 bicep moves that you actually need to be doing to grow your biceps. So now they've watched your short, they comment that word, which is going to boost the engagement on the short, right? And now they're going to get sent to your YouTube video, where they're going to watch your YouTube video, where at the end of your YouTube video, you're going to pitch your paid program that you've got. So now they've spent all that time with you, as opposed to them flipping past your video because you said, hey, these are the 3 best lifts you could do for your biceps, right?
Right. And so hook, visual hook, then you want to kind of delay the answer.
Yep.
To keep them engaged and kind of string them along.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Exactly.
And then you want to give them the answer right at the end, and then the CTA to another piece of content, right? Yep. And take them to long form, because the long form gives them the whole picture. I guess you call it the appetizers, the short form piece of content, just to get them excited about it, to stop scrolling, and to maybe insight they maybe need some help, or they need the information, and maybe they want to know a little bit more about this in depth. They go to the long form content. Well, now you build the know, like, and trust, right, from the 7-11-4 rule.
Yep.
And again, which Google says it's the 7-11-4 rule, which is 7 hours over 11 different platforms and 4 different touch points. And so doing that, and now you got your offer that you've put in enough free to be able to ask.
Exactly.
That's so good. And Shelby Sapp is probably the best person I know that can, and she can just Jay-Z him, meaning she would just pull her phone out and she does all of that in one real take. And obviously you can like on a reel, you can like stop and pause, but I know she doesn't use the camera at all. That's all iPhone, and she just makes bangers.
Yeah. I was funny you say that. Literally last night I was watching one of her videos, and she was talking about, selling to rich people and how urgency doesn't work on them because they don't care if the price goes up. They just care that it's, that something's being done right and whatnot. But her videos are great.
Absolutely awesome. Incredible. And then the way she can just do it without like a script or anything is absolutely incredible. Man, that's a masterclass in itself already. And I guess tell me, so you made a video that got 33 million views. Break down that video. What video was it, and why do you think that video went viral?
Yeah. So that one, it was a combination of a lot of things for the reason that went viral. So it was at the peak of like AI being kind of newer, right? I think like the Will Smith spaghetti video from like, Runway, or like ChatGPT, like really starting to become a little bit more mainstream, where like, okay, people are starting to actually use this. Like this is getting out into the world. Like, people are understanding about it. And the video was me just breaking down like, hey, like these are the 5 AI tools that every single person needs to be using, right? And people love I call them listicles. They get called it, but like lists of things. So top 5 movies, top 5 bicep workouts, top 5 AI tools. People love that stuff because it's a format everybody understands, and they know exactly what they're getting in for. Right? They know they're going to be there for 5 tools. They know it typically goes a little bit quicker. So it was just breaking those down. I talked about ChatGPT on there. I talked about Midjourney. I talked about Runway, HeyGen, and then 11 Labs, which 11 Labs is AI voice clone. HeyGen is AI avatar. Runway is like video. Midjourney is photos, and then ChatGPT, everybody knows. It's,
so 5
everything.
Shiny objects. Yep. 5 of the shiniest AI tools out there.
Yep, exactly. And so I was going through those and just, I was filming on my iPhone at that point too. I wasn't even on a crazy camera. So
time out. See, now we get the sauce.
Yeah.
So that just goes to let you know that it's the idea first. The idea, trending topic, and then you giving people insight from, what do you call it?
Listicle.
Listicle. So you got listicles. Yep. Okay. So putting those together. So then it doesn't matter if you got a professional camera.
I got 250,000 followers for myself before I ever got a real camera, filming on my iPhone, and grew 2 separate clients to over 50,000 followers, 100% iPhone. I have a client right now that I'm working with, Bolt. They're an AI code builder. I've gotten them just last week 1.1 million view video with not even a selfie camera. The literally selfie camera of me, and then pointing my phone camera at the computer screen, like just showing what's happening on the computer screen. 1.1 million views. You don't need a setup like this. The setup helps. I love this setup. I prefer this setup now, but it's,
But getting started, people think they need all of these things. You need to do the pre-search, right? Yes. You need to do the research, trending topics. You need to come up with a good idea first and foremost. Yeah. And then you got to find an interesting way to hook the viewer, to keep them engaged, string them along, have listicles, and then a CTA to a longer piece of content.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. So you mentioned helping businesses a few times. Yep. So who do you help and what do you help them with?
Yeah. So it's evolved for me a lot. Like we talked about at the beginning, right? Like I was doing a lot of content, and I still do sponsored stuff, right? Like now, like for example, I'm working with ManyChat, I've worked with Kit, HeyGen, I've worked with 11 Labs, so a bunch of them. But like the main offer that I've actually got going right now is helping people set up ManyChat, which I alluded to earlier. Okay. So, most people, I would say probably 80% of people that use ManyChat right now, they're using it in a very basic way. They use it in the way of, like I mentioned, you come with the word guide, you send them the link to the guide. That's pretty much it. That is good, and it's better than having nothing. But I help people come in, collect emails, collect phone numbers, set follow-ups in there, connect ChatGPT, so ChatGPT can actually answer some of the questions and things you get in there as well, and connecting all that to your system. So if you're a real estate agent, for example, connecting that, every single person that comes and gets your guide, connecting them to the CRM that you've got set up, and sending, the phone number, the email, you might get some budget for what their house is in, right? Collect all that information in the DMs, send that to your CRM. And so now okay, I need to follow up with this person. I'm going to shoot them a text because they said they want to buy a house in the next 6 months. So connecting that to all your systems. And a lot of people right now, like I mentioned, it's just, comment this word, get this link. That's the end of it. So
I saw a video from a young kid yesterday. Is that considered like AI messaging where will it respond?
So ManyChat has their own AI.
Right.
I love ManyChat. I don't necessarily recommend using the AI, especially for beginners. What I will do and set up for people is you can connect ChatGPT. It's integrated inside of ManyChat. So I can basically, let's say I ask somebody, hey, what's your house budget right now and what area are you in? And they respond with that. Well, I can send that to ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT, hey, based off their budget, recommend one of these three things, whatever freebie or guide, or, maybe like a book a call link, right? And based off their response. And then ChatGPT will go and say, hey, since your budget's in the 500K range, let's actually hop on a call. Here's a link, and it'll send it to you. So
you can have ChatGPT to do that.
Yep. 100%.
Wow.
It's
incredible.
pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts.
So, what does this do for businesses though? Why do businesses need this?
Yeah, it's truly, and I was talking to this with one of the clients yesterday, actually, it's just conversion. And I always give the example of a realtor because I work with a lot of them, and it's really easy to visualize. So imagine, like most realtors, let's say they make, $10,000 off a house they sell, right? Well, if you can sell one extra house in a year because of this, it's 10,000 extra dollars. So again, in the normal example, let's even say without ManyChat, they are, especially if you're going viral, this feeling, like comments are flying in, DMs are flying. You're missing a ton of stuff that there's no way as one person.
You're going so viral that it's impossible for you to keep up.
Yep. And there's, even when you're not going viral, there's 3, 4, 5, 6 people every month falling through the cracks that they are asking questions. They're trying to get information from you. They're trying to figure out how to talk to you, but they can't. Well, ManyChat is going to capture those people for you. And they're going to take the people that are interested, that are engaging, and they're going to nurture them even more. Like I talked about, let's say, for example, you say, hey, get my free, house buyer's guide for 2025. Not only do they get that guide, you can set up a smart delay for an hour later. You got a pre-recorded voice note saying, hey, hope you like the guide. Like if you like that and you're looking to actually buy a house in the next couple months, click the button below and you can book a call and we'll talk about what it would look like to buy a house together. And so that's pre-recorded. But now that person, they've heard your voice. They feel like they got sent that, naturally and organically. They're that much more likely to book a call. And again, you can just continue to set up, as many kind of delays and kind of free things you're giving them, like you talked about earlier. It's just more touch points, more at bats, like I talked about, and just more value you're giving them. Versus again, if you're not using ManyChat, they're probably falling through the cracks, frankly. But even if you're using it on a basic level, it's just one touch point and you're done. And that's just, in today's age, it's just not going to get the job done.
Yeah, dude. So it's so funny because now I'm thinking like, dang it, I wish I would have had that when I've only had one piece of content go viral.
Yeah.
And it got 100 million impressions. And it gave me 65,000 followers from this one post. And I didn't have anything set up. And I was just so happy that it was going viral. Like literally people like, oh, you pay for the followers. When something goes viral, it's impossible to, like, if you pay 1 cent per viewer impression, that's just millions of bucks. There's no way that you can even do that.
No.
Every single day, just things loading in, and I didn't have that automation set up. But also, if somebody's watching, it's like, yeah, that sounds great, but are you throwing me into a course that is just like walking me through all of this because that sounds intimidating? Are we doing this together, or are you doing this for people?
Yeah, so I'm working on a lower ticket thing right now that like we talked about earlier to kind of get people started for, like I mentioned, maybe a level 1 through 3 person. Maybe they're not getting that much traction yet. So I'm working on that in the back end. That'll be done the next week. But right now, the main offer I'm doing is I actually will go in and set it up. I've got templates that I can bring into your ManyChat, and then you'll get walkthroughs from me. So when we're done working together, you also know exactly how to duplicate kind of what I've done for yourself. But I will go and set everything up. We'll set up the custom flows for you because, a flow I would set up for you is different than a flow I would set up for a female fitness coach, right? Like there's different things. And so I go in and I set it up for everybody 100% and kind of get that all knocked out in a 30-day period for everybody. So.
Okay. So what would that look like? So I'm teaching people how to use AI to create digital products and build a personal brand, right? So basically, essentially, they can create one presentation and they can sell an offer at the end of it to whatever their digital product is. So if I'm creating content around that, like then what would I use? What would I need ManyChat for in regards to that?
Yeah. Mostly just like, again, the lead gen, nurturing, and then just like making sure, like, yes, it's one thing to get an email on your list, right? Or to like get somebody's contact information, but it's another to like actually nurture and like, have them in the systems and them not just be another name on your list. So it would be used to capture initial leads. Like I'm sure you have some sort of freebie set up to kind of get people in your system. So capturing that at a higher rate inside of ManyChat, we convert it like around 80 to 85% from if they ask, if they get the message saying, hey, what's the best email for you? About 80 to 85% of those people actually get the email. Versus if you go off platform, you click
To a funnel.
Okay. You go into that weird Instagram browser a lot of times, right? Where like people are like, okay, I can't autofill this. It looks weird. Like I'm not used to this. It looks weird on my phone. That's a lot lower, right? So it's capturing that A. B, it's then upselling people in that to maybe your lower ticket, your middle ticket, your high ticket, right? It's just, and then giving even more value and more touch points inside of there and connecting that all to whatever CRM you have set up, right?
So it keeps them engaged because they're still on the platform, keeps their attention because they're there right now.
Yep.
And they don't have to go off platform to like, oh, I got to grab my credit card or something like that, or just the email stuff. Okay. And so that's what keeps the capture rate at 80%.
Yeah.
So then you capture the email before you give them the guide.
Yep.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yep, exactly.
So they comment the word, then you ask for the email. Well, the ManyChat does, and then after they give you that'll go into a CRM, I'm assuming.
Yep.
And then or trigger something for a tag or something, and then from there, you'll then send them the free guide. Yep. And then an hour later, I'm assuming you follow up. Hey, what'd you think about the guide?
Yep.
Is that something that you're looking for? I'm sure there's a pitch in there to hop on a call.
Yep.
Or to send them to a place where there is an offer.
Yep, exactly. So you could do that. There's also things like some people call them quiz, other people will call them qualifier flows, but basically, I'm sure a lot of people have multiple products or multiple freebies, so you kind of send them through a journey like, hey, what are you making right now? They choose that. Okay, what's the biggest struggle you're having? They kind of answer a couple different questions and they get filtered to the correct product versus them looking at your link in bio, right? Or looking at your website and deciding, okay, which one of these do I really need? Like there's no way for me to truly know which one of these. So you can ask questions, which obviously I work with the creators because they know their audience better. I ask them the questions, they answer those, and they'll get sent to either the freebie or the low ticket or the high ticket, right? So they kind of filter themselves to the right place.
So you can make contingencies inside of the ManyChat based off what they answered or take them in different directions, kind of like Typeform or something like that. Okay.
Yep.
Man, that's sick, dude. So yeah, most businesses need that because they don't have a process. People are slipping through the cracks. They're not building their personal brand. They're not doing lead gen the proper way. And then when people do respond, they're falling through the cracks because they don't have AI automation set up to instantly reach out to them, as opposed to, oh, I got a guy that's going to call these leads in 3 hours, right? And that's what most businesses are doing right now.
Yep, exactly.
Gotcha. So I guess I'm curious on that part too. How important is it to build your personal brand nowadays in the day of AI?
No, it's huge. And I mean, obviously we've seen so much stuff come out with AI, like even yesterday, Sora 2 came out from OpenAI, and like it's crazy some of the stuff they're doing with video, but like I think people that can build a personal brand and have that genuine connection actually are going to stand out even more now in the era of AI creators, because people are going to be craving that authenticity once again, right? Like it's gone from, the pendulum is kind of swung from, okay, like anybody can do this and that's amazing, to, okay, now AI is doing so much of this that like it almost feels, not authentic, or almost like people then again now are craving like almost the shot on iPhone organic stuff again.
The raw
right?
stuff.
Yeah, the raw unfiltered stuff. So I think it's going to be even more important.
So when did you realize that this was what you need to do in regards to building your personal brand? Like when did you like take it? Because we start posting content, but like when did you like, okay, I am not just content creator. Yep. I'm not just having an offer. I need to build my personal brand. Yeah. Right. For that specific reason.
Yeah. I would say for me, it was right around 2023, middle 2022, early 2023. And that's when I, eventually left Salesforce and did this thing full time. Was at that point I had done $20,000 months from just purely sponsored stuff. But I started to think to myself of like, okay, like, am I going to be the next Mr. Beast? Like realistically, if I think like, do I want to be? And the answer was no, no. Right. And so then I started to think, okay, so like, I'm not going to be able to survive off just sponsored stuff forever. And if I'm only doing sponsored stuff, that's going to that's going to water down your personal brand also. Because if every other video is you promoting a new AI tool, well, how much weight does that really hold if you're promoting 3 to 4 AI tools every single week, right? People are going to be, okay, this is just another sponsored thing, right? So starting to build that personal brand, kind of talk about what you stand for, talk about what separates you, what knowledge and insights you have that others don't. Like that's when I started to really turn it from, okay, I'm just making videos, I'm just, talking about AI, trying to go viral, to, okay, this is a true business. Like I'm treating this like an actual business.
And so, I mean, what has building a personal brand done for your business? Like, how's it helped grow your business? Because it's like, yeah, I need clients, right? I need leads, but the personal branding thing is always, when you're a 0 to 2 to 3 entrepreneur, you're just trying to get to $10,000 a month. You're just trying to make sales. But you get to $20,000 a month, you get to $30,000 a month. You realize you need to have something, because every time you get introduced to somebody, if you're just asking for the sale, right, that starts to do a negative thing for your reputation. So you have to have some way to put some goodwill and build that know, like, and trust, which is you got to give away some free information. Get somebody a micro result. You know what I mean? In regards to that, though, how has that helped you? Do you run paid ads, or you do strictly organic?
I've up to this point I've done strictly organic, but I'm starting some paid ad stuff actually in the coming weeks. I'm working with an agency on doing some paid ad stuff a little bit with the low ticket stuff that I'm doing. So, but up to this point, it's been 100% organic.
So building your personal brand allows you to get, how many views do you think you've estimated to have gotten?
Oh, geez. Easily over 500 million, like between me and all the clients I've worked, like the client videos I've made. I would guess that at least that, because I mentioned I've had multiple, 10 million, I've more 1 million videos than I can count on. And just, if you think about it, I've been doing this for 5 years. Let's call it a video a day on average, right? I mean, that's 1,500 videos. So like you can't, when you haven't done it, and like when you're just starting, you can't truly appreciate what that catalog of videos is going to do for you in the long run. Like I have videos that are a year plus old, still getting, 5,000 views every single month on YouTube, that bring me booked calls every single day. I sold a woman for my mini chat offer yesterday, and she hopped on and she said, "Oh my gosh, I've watched your YouTube video. It was so helpful. Like it was amazing." And my mini chat offer up until this point, I've done probably close to, I started it a couple months into the year. It's already done over $50,000 for me organically. And that's 100% just a YouTube video sending me leads every single day, that I made the YouTube video a year and a half ago.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting, because as soon as somebody says, "I've been watching your content and I've been consuming," if they say the word YouTube, you're like, okay, this is a done deal.
Easiest
the
sale
best
ever.
leads ever come from YouTube. But you got to use the short form content, because YouTube is such a creative platform that, man, it's so hard to get traction. So short form content kind of gives you a feeder to get some of that attention easily, to get them funneled into your YouTube. So what's your personal brand strategy right now? Like, what's your system for getting clients? What are you personally doing to grow your business?
For me right now, I've been focusing on, three main things. One is obviously, the short form for me, and that's, probably anywhere from, 3 to 5 videos a week typically, of, at least one of those being a client testimonial like we talked about earlier, but then the others being for more, general, to kind of grow the reach, grow the following, because you obviously always want to continue doing that, because even if you capture some people at the beginning that are level 1, 2, 3, as they watch more of your stuff and maybe they grow in their journey, they're going to become a level 3, 4, 5, and you'll be the first person that they want to work with. So that's one with the short form. And I'm using the short form also to feed into the long form, like we've talked about. But honestly, something that's been really big for me recently on Instagram has been carousels. I've been doing a lot more. I'm doing a lot more of those, and I find that and Instagram's also pushing those out too, because for people watching this, if you don't know, if you add music to your carousel, so if somebody sees it on their feed for the first time but they don't interact with it, later in the day, Instagram will show them the second slide of that carousel and give them another chance to interact with it. And it can show up on the Reels feed if it's got music on it as well. So that's 3 different times Instagram's giving you a chance, versus Reels, if you don't interact with the Reel the first, you're not going to see the Reel again. So like carousels, especially with people that are already following you, and if somebody's here, like if they're thinking, oh, I've only got 5,000 followers, so it's not going to make me go viral. I see carousels go viral all the time, and it really reaches your followers, which everybody's always worried about. How can I get more followers? And kind of neglecting the people they've already got following them. When the reality is, like, the people that are already following you, the people that are watching your stories, the people that are interacting with your photos or your carousels, they're your most loyal fans. They're the most likely people to buy from you at the end of the day, right? So I think that that's been huge. And I've seen not just me, but a ton of other creators like going crazy with carousels.
And it's so funny because the one post that I had that went viral was a carousel post. Yeah. It was just a meme post that just went absolutely nuclear.
Yeah.
That's so insane. So the gem that you gave was, if you put music to the carousel, then and people don't click on it, they'll try again with the second slide.
Yep, exactly.
Interesting.
Yep.
And that's happened to me too.
Yeah.
And so I thought I was watching a newer post, but it was just the second slide.
Yep.
So it gives you, so you can create one piece of content and get 2 impressions from it.
Yep. And they'll even put, if it starts to take off, they'll put carousels on the Reels feed. So you'll be swiping through the Reels feed, and then you'll be like, oh wait, this is a carousel. So like, there's really 3 different, like I said, 3 kind of at-bats from one post, versus if it's a reel, there's so many reels every day that they don't even give them like the true chance to get multiple times at it. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Dope. So I guess as we kind of tying all this together, because like all this sounds great, but if I'm a beginner watching this, or I'm a business owner, and I know I need to be using social more, I know that I need to be using AI, because the AI isn't going to replace them, but the business or the business owner using AI is definitely going to replace them and get all those customers, especially if leads are falling by the wayside.
Yeah.
So what is the whole strategy that ties all this together? Like, walk me through like the 4 or 5 steps of a system that you would put together for somebody so that they can take somebody from stranger to a customer.
Yep. So first off, before you even, and most people don't do this, I didn't do it when I got started, right, is you want to have something set up. It could even be a freebie at the beginning, right? So when you do get that viral video, it's there, versus you having to scramble. And like you said, you didn't have that mini chat automation set up when your thing went viral. I didn't have anything set up when I had my first viral video. So setting something up, even if it's just in your link tree or whatnot, to give somebody a freebie before you even get those first couple of videos out. So
can you give me an example of a freebie?
Yeah, for example, so let's say if you're a fitness coach, for example, a freebie could be, hey, this is my this is 3 healthy meals, 3 healthy high protein meals you can make at home in less than 10 minutes, right? You can make that as a PDF one time, and it's going to take you maybe 25 minutes to make, but you can, and then people will download that for free. So not only do they watch the content, but now every time they go to make that meal, they think of you, the creator, and they're like, okay. So then 2 months from now, when you create your paid cookbook, they say, oh, I love the 3 meals I got on the freebie. I need to buy that. I need to buy the $20 cookbook PDF now, right, or whatnot. So it's something that eventually is going to lead to your offer. And I think people, not to get off on a tangent here, but I think people with the freebies, they try and do something very general. And I think that's a mistake, because if the freebie is very general, yes, it might get more people in the door, but it's not going to get people in the door who actually care about your end of funnel offer. So I think that's important. So having that set up, and then the biggest thing from there is just getting started with content, like getting videos up and getting at bats. Third thing there is doing research with that. Something that you talked about, that's how you found me, is you were looking, okay, how to go viral, how to grow a page. And then you said, okay, I came across Clark's videos. Well, finding what other people are doing successfully, whether that's their hooks, whether that's the caption style they're using, the background they're using, right? Finding that and kind of mixing 5, 6, 7, 8 different creators together to create your own thing. That's how every creator has gotten their thing, right? Like, I found Tom Noski's videos and I liked the font that he used. And then I found Ben Cluse's video and I liked how he did split screen. So I started using some split screen stuff. You found this, the background of this podcast on somebody else, and you're like, okay, I'm going to kind of recreate this for my own setup. So,
and then I was looking for somebody, and they were shooting content with the exact same background.
Exactly. So like taking little pieces from other creators and then kind of creating your own art form. There's a phrase that I use, and it's a book, but it's called "Steal Like an Artist," and it basically is just saying like there is no truly original thing out there, because everything, whether you know it or not, or whether the person even knows it, subconsciously was inspired by something they saw and they made their own slight variation of, right? So I think that that's some of the biggest things is doing the research, getting a freebie set up, just making the content. Like I tell everybody, your first 50 videos are gonna suck. Everybody, unless you have millions of dollars to invest in, like, your videos are gonna be bad. My videos were horrible. When I first started making videos, it was in my garage at my house, and like the comments on the videos would be like, "Are you being held hostage right now?" Because I would literally sit there like this and not move at all. Like I would not. I was so tense. People would be like, "Blink if you're okay."
Dude, social media, bro. The what is it called that they do on there? The trolling is absolutely insane. So it's funny. I posted my very first YouTube video where it's like I've got a whiteboard and I'm doing it like standing in front of the TV with my iPhone, and I've got like my kid's chalkboard, crayon board, and I've got like the intro on there. And I'm like, hey, this is and then I just stop and I take a breath and I just walk off camera. And it was so bad. But it's so funny because it didn't stop there. I kept on going. And I created videos I got help. I got mentorship. I studied. I did my own research. And now this is kind of a product that we got a full production here, which is kind of pretty cool, right?
Oh, yeah.
To do something like that. But I knew that in order for me to break free, I had to go from a consumer to a creator.
Yep. I mean, and the final thing really there is just, the monetization part of it, which we've got into a little bit, but, making it a specific product, making when somebody hears it, they should envision themselves, right? Like they should envision like the problems they're having, and they again should make it feel like, oh, Clark made this for me. So I mean that's the big part of it. That's obviously boiling it down pretty simply, but we've talked about a lot of the nitty gritty in there. So
yeah, for sure. But having a monetization strategy, right? Because that's going to be important, because you just don't want to be creating content for the sake of creating content. I mean, it's cool, but if you're growing a business, right? Like we're not creating content just to create content. Let's just be honest. We're creating content to get attention, to build trust, to build a brand, to build authority, showcase our expertise, and to drive traffic to our offer. Right?
Exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly.
So I guess we can wrap up, but I got more of a personal question for you, because this is one that I always, because a lot of my audience are people who are corporate experts. They've been working in a specific field. They're salespeople already. And so I'm curious, why did you leave Salesforce? Like, what was it that made you leave Salesforce?
Yeah, it was nothing against them. I love Salesforce. I actually probably stayed there longer than I would have ever stayed at any other job, because the perks are great. I loved it there. I loved the people I worked with. But it's something that I think, like, I mean, you obviously know it, entrepreneurs know it. Like, you kind of just have that drive. And like, I'd always had that challenge for myself of, I want to do my own thing. I don't want to, be clocking in at a job every single day. I want to prove to myself that I could do it. I could go out and do this. And the freedom that gives you on a personal note, my father passed away a couple weeks ago, unfortunately. And leading up to his passing, I basically lived in the hospital. Me and my mom and my brother lived at the hospital for essentially a month and a half straight. And I could have never done that with a regular. Like, that is the exact type of freedom that I was striving for when I quit my job, right? Because I could have never gotten a job to give me a month and a half of PTO or let me go work, and kind of just like, I essentially was not working at that time. I took some calls, but like my focus was on him and that. So that freedom was huge for me. The ability to work from wherever you want, and just that challenge to myself of like, okay, I've wanted to do this. Like I know I can do this. I know I have it in me, and just proving it to myself. So.
Yeah, and again, I remember meeting you right before that happened, and so I texted you just out of. It's funny, my wife thought about you, which made me text you.
Yeah,
she was like, "Hey, have you reached back out to that guy?" And I was like, "No, he had some stuff going on," and so that's what made me reach back out. So shout out to my wife.
Yeah,
But the other, so and sorry for your loss.
No,
I think
absolutely.
the last thing that I was thinking about though was you had a business or a system was still running that
Yep.
allowed you to stay afloat while you were out for those days.
Exactly.
So you didn't have to ask for a PTO,
Yep.
but also that would run out. You still had a system running in the background, so your business was kind of working with the automations and stuff,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, ManyChat was booking me calls for the times like I said, I didn't have to convince anyone to book a call with me or to buy my thing. I was selling stuff in the background. I was getting booked calls in the background while I'm sitting there and be able to be with my family. And obviously that's not the situation you set up the automations for. You never think that's going to be but like I couldn't have been more grateful that I had it set up in that moment because it just takes a lot of weight off your shoulders.
Yeah, for sure. So good. So I guess the last part to that question though is do you think you made the right decision leaving Salesforce?
I do. And I will say my dad would always joke with me with this. So they had a stock plan that you could get while you're at Salesforce. And that was probably the reason I stayed as long as I did, just because it was so nice. But again, the freedom, I've traveled more with me and my wife than I could have ever hoped. And again, without having to take PTO off, my wife was able to take a full year off of work when we moved and get the house set up because of this business that I built for myself. I wouldn't take it back for anything, and just the freedom. It's been amazing. I've loved it. So.
Yeah, man. Well, this has definitely been a masterclass, and I've learned a ton. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't give you the opportunity to kind of share with our audience who you are, what exactly it is that you do, what you help people with, some of the results that you've gotten people, and then specifically where they can go right now after they watch this video if they want to check you out.
Yeah, for sure. So, Clark Gary is my name. That's also my social media name. So the Clark Gary is where you can find me on socials. The main thing I'm helping people with right now is just the ManyChat setup. So if you go over to my socials, you'll be able to DM me over there. I've got links over there that you can book a call for me to come and set up exactly what I was talking about here. Some of the results I've gotten for people. One of my biggest students, Melvin, he's 18. He's probably 19 now, but when we started working together, he was 18. Went from $1,000 a month to having a $26,000 month from the social media stuff and the ManyChat stuff we set up for him. Been working recently with different doctors and even plastic surgeons and realtors. One of my good friends is a realtor. We just ran a flow the other day that got over 500 emails from him from just a single flow, and that's going to lead to houses sold. He's grown to over 90,000 followers from the stuff I've done with him. So. The main thing I'm doing right now is the ManyChat, and you can find me at the Clark Gary over on Instagram.
For sure. Well, man, thanks. It's been dope doing this podcast with you. Long time coming. Definitely appreciate it. So again, thank you guys for hopping on and listening. That was an absolute masterclass. So you might want to go back and watch that and take some notes. We'll see you in the next podcast on the Social Selling Podcast. I'm out.